be a discussion.
All right. Good morning again, everyone. I am your Coach Bell, and I'm going to be your coach for your TIMO 2025 final round mock review session. This serves as your final review in preparation for your final round competition for the Thailand International Mathematical Olympiad 2025 final round. So, good morning, everyone, and special shout out to those Indonesian participants who are also here. Welcome to our session for your mock review. Before we begin, let's have some reminders first. If you have working cameras, you may turn it on, and but just make sure that your microphones are muted, okay, at all times. Except if you're told to unmute your mic, then that's the only time that you're allowed to use your microphone. That is for a smooth and unnoisy discussion. Okay, so if you have questions or clarifications, or if you want to say something, you can do that by using our chat box. Feel free to use it and make sure to be respectful in the chat. All right. So without so much ado, let's try to begin our session with the first category, which is the logical thinking part. So let's have the question number one. If yesterday was Thursday, which day of the week will 5 days later be? Or 5 days later? What do you think is the answer to this problem? Can you type in your answers in the chat box first? If yesterday was Thursday, which day of the week will 5 days later? Can you type your answers to those who have an answer to this problem? What day?
Naka-turn.
Type it in the chat
I
box.
cannot type.
In the chat?
The chat
I
is
cannot
very
type.
Oh,
I Coach Bella.
yes.
My chat box is cannot type.
Maybe they disabled the chat box. Anyway, okay. Yeah, you can use your mic. What's your answer for number one?
Friday.
Friday. Okay. Let's see if Friday is the correct answer.
Wednesday.
What else? Is there any other answer?
Wednesday.
The correct answer is actually okay. Can you unmute your mics now? After you say your answer, make sure that you mute again your microphone. Okay, so that there's no excess background noises to be captured during our discussion. Since this is also recorded, so that you can also use this if you want to review later on. Okay. Now let's find out what's the answer. Okay, the correct answer is actually Wednesday. I heard someone said earlier the answer is Friday. Okay. How do we know or how do we get the answer to this problem? Why is it Wednesday? Now it says here that yesterday was Thursday. So usually when we count how many day what day it would be after a span of how many days, usually we start counting from the present day, right? Like what day is today? But the given here is the day yesterday. So first thing that you need to do is to figure out or to find out what day is today, right? So if yesterday was Thursday, then what day is today? What's the day after Thursday? It's going to be Friday, right? So today, in this scenario, today is Friday. Now, remember or recall that in every week there's 7 days, exact 7 days, right? Which means if you say after 7 days, it's still going to be Friday, right? Every after 7 days, the the day will be going all over again. So if this is Friday and then we count 7 days after that, it's still going to be Friday. It will go back to Friday. That is the fact in terms of the arrangement of days and counting the number of days in the calendar. Now it says here, which day of the week will 5 days only, right? We know already that after 7 days, it's going to be Friday again. But since we're only counting five, then you can just count 2 days backward, right? From Friday, you count 2 days backward. So this is Friday. And then what are the 2 days backward before Friday? So of course you have Thursday. And then you have the Wednesday. So from Friday, you counted 2 days backward because it only says 5 days, not exactly 7. Again, recall that if today is Friday, 7 days exactly later, it's going to be Friday again. Then we just counted 2 days backwards because 7 minus 5 would be 2. So there's like an excess 2 days. And that is how we got Wednesday as the final answer. All right. Any questions to this problem? Any clarification or any confusion? Also, if you don't want to do the counting backwards, you can just, again, first identify what day is today since it's not given here. It only says yesterday. So you have to figure out what day is today, which is again Friday. And then you count 5 days from Friday. You have Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So 5 days. After 5 days, it's going to be Wednesday. So you get the same answer. All right, I think this one is good. So I hope to those who answered Friday, you saw already how to get the right answer. Okay. Now let's proceed to number 2. What about this one?
8.
8. Vincent has 5 footballs and he has 3 fewer footballs than Harry. So how many footballs does Harry have?
8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8.
Wow, you all have the same answer. Let's see if that is correct. All right, very good. The correct answer is 8. Now, is there anyone who could share how they got the answer for number 2? Anyone? You can just raise your hand or say me. Okay, Kizaya. Kizaya or Kizaya?
Keziah.
Kizaya, yes, go ahead.
3 plus 5.
3 plus 5. Okay, to get the number of footballs for Harry. Very good. Thank you so much, Kizaya. Now, yeah, that is correct. So let's dissect each part of the problem. Okay, so it says here we have 2 persons here. You have Vincent and Harry. So Vincent has 5 and he has 3. Let's just write it as V for Vincent. He has 5 and he has 3 fewer footballs than Harry. 3 fewer. So take note of this word, fewer. So when you say fewer, if Vince has 3 fewer, then what does it says about Harry? How do you get Harry's number of football? It's the opposite, right? Since how do you derive the conclusion for Harry's number of footballs? It's the opposite. Since Vincent has 3 fewer, then Harry has 3 more. 3 more. So that's plus 3. V plus 3. Why plus 3? Because Vincent has 3 fewer than Harry. Now, you just substitute this 5 here. This is Vincent's number of football. So 5 plus 3, that's going to be 8. Now, what will happen if it says here more? What would be the number of footballs for Harry? Sorry. It won't be possible for the name. So let's just say, okay, this different number. Let's say Vincent has 7. And then he has
Đề bài đó là gì? Mình đâu biết đâu. Đề
5 more.
sai đề mầm non này đó.
Okay. Now, what do you think is the answer? Again, if let's say Vincent has 7 and he has 5 more footballs than no. And what do you think is the answer? Can you get the answer to this?
2.
2?
7 minus 5.
Okay.
7.
Minus 7 minus 5. Good.
2.
And then please, can you unmute yourself again after you speak? Make sure you mute yourselves. Okay, you mute your microphone after you say what you want to say. Now, next, what about this one? Melody is 9
30.
and 21 years younger. Okay, you only say your answer after I read the problem. Let me read the problem first, all right? Okay, do not speak all together. So Melody is 9 years old and she is 21 years younger than
Plus 21 equal.
now. All right, I'm just going to not let you unmute your mic since it's very noisy and it's interrupting our discussion. Okay, so I'm just gonna discuss, and if you have really important questions, just use the raise hand button. There, I think you can use that. There's like a raise hand button, so you use that if you want to say a very important thing. All right, now let's continue. For number 3, Melody is 9 years old and she is 21 years younger than her mother. So, how old is her mother? This problem is the age problem. Okay. Yes. Do you have anything to say? Hold on. Okay, there you go. Yes. Okay, you only raise your hand if there's an important thing that you want to say, okay? Not your answer, right? Because you're gonna, there's a lot of background noises that I'm hearing. It's quite disturbing. Anyway, again, let's figure out what's the answer to this problem. We are looking for Melody's mother's age. This is an age problem, right? So let's represent that with M. Remember that Melody is 9 years old and she is 21 years younger. So that's there, the difference with their age, right? So to get mother's age, all you need to do is to add Melody. Let's say this is Melody, M-E. Okay, she's 9. And the gap or the difference between her and her mother's age is 21. So to get mother's age, you just need to add the 9 and 21, which is going to be 30. So therefore, mother is Mother is 30 years old. Now, how can you prove that this is correct? Remember that their gap should be 21 years. So if mother is 30, you subtract the difference of their age, which is 21, and the answer that you will get is 9, which is Melody's age, right? So it means that the answer or the age that you get or got for mother is correct. 30. She's 30 years old. All right. Next one. What about number 4? What about this? According to the pattern shown below, what should be the number filled in the blank? 2, 5, 8, 11, and then the blank. So this is the pattern problem. Let's see. What is the answer for number 4? Okay, for number 4, the answer is 14. Okay, what do you think is the reason why 14 is the answer? Again, if you want to say your answer, after that, mute your microphones, okay? If I can still hear background noises, I will again not allow you to unmute yourselves. Okay. Now, observing our series of number here, you have 2, 5, 8, 11. The very first thing that you do when your problem involves a pattern is to find the difference between numbers that are next to each other. Okay? So that you'll have an idea what could be the pattern. Now, since this one starts with a smaller number, it doesn't matter. So we just get the difference between 2 and 5. 5 minus 2, that is 3. 8 minus 5, that is also 3. And then 8 and 11, the difference. Okay, you just subtract the bigger number to the smaller number. That's still going to be a difference of 3. So there's already a pattern. We say pattern, uniform, or the same thing that appears here in our series of numbers. Now, observing as well, we can see that the numbers are increasing, right? It's getting bigger. Tells us that this difference that we have here is going to be added to the previous number to get the next one, right? So 2 plus 3, you got 5. 5 plus 3, you got the 8. And then 8 plus 3, you got 11. Therefore, to get the number here in the blank or the missing one, just copy this pattern right here. 11 is the last previous number. You add the difference, which is plus 3. So 11 plus 3 would be 14. Okay, so since that is the pattern, what do you think is the number here in the red line? Not the yellow ones, okay? In the red line, what do you think? Given this pattern here.
What are you doing? 40 and then 23.
The answer?
40, 70, and then the answer is
Anyone?
20.
23?
23.
23. Okay. 3. Let's see if that is okay. Let's see if that is the correct answer. Okay. Now again, we cannot go directly to the red blank without getting the answers here, right? So let's just continue. If this is 14, you just continue doing the plus 3 for each of the missing number here. So 14 plus 3, you have 17. And then here, 17 plus 3, it's still going to be 20. And finally, 20 plus the common difference 3, Yes, very good. The answer here in the red line would be 23. Okay, very good. Now, next, let's have the next problem. What about this? According to the pattern shown below, what should be the English letter filled in the blank? Time is a letter pattern.
Vậy là xếp lão đây, phi lịch. A, C, E, G.
I.
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 Capital I or small letter I?
I. Capital I.
Yeah,
I.
very good. Okay, now after the number pattern, we have another kind of pattern in your TIMO, which is the letters, right? Or the English letter. So in the English letter, it's quite the same with the number. You need to figure out how many letters are being skipped. Okay, from one letter to the next letter, like the consecutive letters here. From A to C, from C to E, E to G. We need to figure out how many letters are being skipped between those two pairs of letters. So from A to C, you have B. So for sure, all of you memorize the letters, the alphabet letters, right? For sure, you have to do that. Or since you'll be allowed to have a scratch paper, I suggest that you write all the letters from A to Z so that you have a guide in case you forgot some letters, okay? Now you have B, you skip B. From C to E, you skip D. And from E to G, you skip F. So what can we observe here? From each two consecutive letters, they skip one, right? They skip one, and then the next letter in the pattern is the next letter after the letter that you skip. So based on that, from G, what's the next letter after G? You have the H, right? So we have to skip that. And then we're going to put the letter after H in the blank, which is going to be
I.
So therefore, the correct answer is make sure that you write the letter in a big form or capital form, since all the previous letters here are also written in capital, okay? If you wrote or you write small letter I, that would be marked wrong because this is a pattern problem. Pattern should be the same. Okay? Take note of that. Next, let's proceed to number 6. What about this one? Another pattern. According to the pattern, how many asterisks is or are there in the fourth group? So the first, the second, and the third group are given here in the figure. Based on this one, what do you think is the right answer or the right number of the symbol in the fourth group?
13.
13.
13.
Why 13?
13.
Why?
It's because of plus 4.
Plus 4.
7.
Very good observation. Okay. So this pattern is actually quite the same with the number pattern, right?
14.
You need to count. Since we're looking for how many of the symbol are in each group, you just count for each group. You turn this into numbers so that you can see better the gap or the difference between the number of asterisks in each group. So in the first group, you have 1. In the second group, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then in the third group, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right? So we make it into a number or a
Am I
series of
gonna
numbers.
answer in the iPad?
And then
Am I gonna in the iPad? Am I
please mute your mics,
gonna in the
everyone.
iPad?
Natapos yun na, di ba? Yes.
Am I gonna in the iPad? Good.
Okay. Again, you are all of your background noises are heard here. Please, again, if you're not saying anything regarding our problem that we have here in the screen, please mute your mics or just keep quiet, okay? So again, this is one way of solving this problem. You're going to turn each group into a number and then try to find the difference between each number or each group. So this one has a difference of 4, right? Or it's like plus 4. 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 4 is 9. And that's already a pattern because they have common difference or the same difference. Now to get the next one here, you just add 4 to the last number, which is 9, and you'll get 13, right? It's also easier to use this technique instead of like counting here one by one because we don't know. Maybe they'll just show the first 3 groups and then they'll ask you, let's say, 11th group, right? So it's easier to turn it into numbers so that you can just continue adding the difference from the previous one and then until you reach the certain group or certain term that's being asked in the problem. So you can do it like this, okay? For sure, your patterns are just like this. It has common difference. Okay, very good. Next, what about number 7? Okay, we're done with the logical thinking problems. Now let's proceed with the arithmetic ones. Find the value of 8 plus 9 plus 2 plus 1. What's the answer for this?
20.
20.
20.
How did you know it's 20?
20.
How did you add the numbers?
How did you know 20?
20.
Why 20?
20. 8 plus 2. 9 and 1. Plus 2. 8 plus 3 plus 9 plus 10 plus 10. 20.
10 plus 10 is 20.
10. It's because you go by tens.
So it's easier to add multiple numbers. Okay. Keep quiet already. Now it's easier to add a lot of numbers or multiple numbers if you regroup them or group them by twos, especially this, right? And when you're grouping numbers, your target is to group, put together those numbers that gives you a sum of at least 10. Why 10? Because it's easier to add numbers that ends with 0, right? So easy, just like 10. And we have that kind of numbers here. You can pair 8 and 2 together. They will give you a sum of 10. And the same case as 9 and 1. So 9 and 1 is the other kind of pair that also gives a sum of 10. So perfect. You can do it like this. This is 10. This is also 10. And we know that 10 plus 10 is just 20. So again, that is why you target to get a sum of 10 because all you need to do is copy the 0 for the ones digit and then add the digits in the tens. So 1 plus 1, 2. That's how you got your 20. So what are the other pair of numbers, one digit numbers that can give you a sum of 10? Can you give me one aside from this two? Aside from 8 and 2 and 1 and 9. What else?
3 and 7.
3
And
7.
5.
Very good. 5 and 5. Yes. What else? Is there
3 and 7.
4.
3 and 7.
One more? 6 and
4.
yes, right? You could interchange that.
4 and 6.
1 and 9. You have the 2 and 8. You have the 3 and 7. And then you have the 6 and 4 or 4 and 6. It doesn't matter. And then, of course, the 5 and 5. So just remember these pair of numbers. Next, let's go to number 8. What about this one? Find the value of 20 minus 14 plus 17 minus 13 plus 15 minus 9. So what's the value of this expression?
16. 16. 16. 16. You minus the numbers that 16. 8 minus.
Okay.
And then you add to that. 16. And then do on 16.
Yes. So if you observe, now let me speak. Let me speak now, okay? Now, if you observe the expression here, there's a minus and then a plus here. There's like a pair of subtractions here. And it's actually so easy to subtract them since the bigger numbers are written first. Please be quiet. Now, you have here 20 minus 14, you have 17 minus 13, and then you have the 15 minus 9. It's so easy to subtract that since, again, the bigger numbers are written first in each pair, right? So let's just subtract it. How much is 20 minus 14? You have, let me just write it under. So this is going to be 6. 20 minus 14. How do you subtract that? Regrouping. So if we're going to do that here, let's just show. Okay, so this is going to be, we'll need to borrow from the 2, which means this will going to be a 1, and then this will become 10. 10 minus 4, you have the 6, and then 1 minus 1 is 0, so you can just skip that. The difference is 6. So that's why you have 6. 17 minus 13 would be 4, right? Since 7 minus 3 is 4, 1 minus 1 is 0. So you just have the 4. And then finally, you have 15 minus 9, this one as well. 15 minus 9. This is the borrowing method. We need to use it since 5 is smaller than 9. So this will become 0. This will become 15, which is just the same with that. And then 15 minus 9 would be 6. So don't forget that there's an operation between these pairs, which is addition. So to find the value of this expression, you need to add all of these differences. So how much is 6 plus 4 plus 6? Speaking of pairs, we have 4 and 6 or 6 and 4, which will give you a 10. So that's an automatic 10. And then you just add the remaining 6 here. So 10 plus 6 would be 16. So therefore, the final answer would be 16. Very good. Okay, next, let's proceed to number 9. What about this one? Find the value of 19 minus 5 minus 4 minus 7. So what will happen if there's like more negative numbers than the positive one?
7.
7.
It's because of you 19 minus 5 equals 14 minus 7 equals 7. And then you minus the big number and then you will 7.
That's also correct. Okay, so there's lots of ways that you can do to solve this one. First, I heard someone said that they just subtracted 19 minus 5, which is going to be 14, and then 14 minus 7 is going to be 7. That's correct. Okay, so another way to solve this is you add these two together. Okay, why are we adding them? That's because they're both negative numbers, or both have a minus sign before them. So they're like, they are alike. Okay, they are like numbers. So you're going to group them together. And then sum. How much is 5 plus 7? Okay, so how much is 5 plus 7? That's going to be 12. And then This is now the sum of the negative numbers. So obviously there's a minus sign before that. This is going to be a minus 12. And then you have the positive number, which is only 1. So you're going to find the difference between the positive number and the combination of the negative numbers, since there are two of them here. 19 minus 12 would be equal to 7. So that's just the same with subtracting 19 minus 5 minus 7. This one would be helpful if ever this one is longer. Let's say, for example, you have 19 plus 7 minus 2 minus 5 minus 1. Okay, let's say it's like that. So you can just again group numbers that has the same sign. You combine them so you find their sum, and it's the same case with the positive numbers. So you group this together. You find their sum. How much is 19 plus 7? That's going to be, this is going to be 26. And then the 2 plus 5 plus 1 is going to be 8. So what's the answer now? You're going to find their difference, right? Since this is positive and then this is negative. So after you find each of their sums, you're going to subtract them to get the final answer. So how much is 26 minus 8? 18. Very good. Okay.
18.
Final answer would be 18. So you can use this method in solving a longer expression. Next, let's have number 10. What about this one? What is the value of a one-digit number? The equation below is correct. So you have 14 minus 8. Okay, what's the correct answer? What's the value for A? I think it's the answer. Can you guys use the chat button
It's because
already?
4 minus 8 equals 6.
Okay. Because, again?
14 minus 8 equals 6.
Very good. Okay, that's true. And aside from that,
8.
okay, so if you see a problem like this where there's a missing number, especially if it's a subtraction and you have the difference and then you have your menuend, you call this your menuend, right? Then this is the subtrahend and then you have the difference here. If that is the case, all you need to do is to subtract the first number in the left side and then the answer. So 14 minus 8 would be 6. Okay, so therefore the missing here, which is the A, is going to be the answer to the subtraction of the first number and the answer, which is 6. Now, what else can prove that this is the right answer? You subtract that. You subtract 14 minus 6. Is it really going to be 8? So, of course, it is. It's going to be this one. Yes, that's correct. And also, 6 is a one-digit number, right? It's a single digit or a one-digit number, so it's also true in that case. Now, that's very good. What about number 11? What about this? Okay, wait. Again, if you see a problem like this, again, the subtrahend is missing, you just subtract directly the first number and then the answer to get the value of this, okay? Next one. What about number 11? It's very long. What's the value of this expression? Okay, Matthew. No problem. All right. So what's the value of this expression again? 2 plus 4 plus
48. 48. 48. 48.
Okay. What can you observe in the expression? What can you observe in the expression? Not the answer. What can you observe? What can you see in the expression? What's the first thing that you notice? Hmm?
60.
What's the first thing that you notice looking at the expression?
Group 10 are repeated.
Who's that? Who said that 2, 4, 6 are repeated? Who said that?
Me. Has to be
Me.
grouped
Is it?
to 10.
Idios. Okay, that's very good. Okay, exactly. So the first thing that you observe here are there are certain numbers that are being repeated multiple times, which are 2, 4, and 6.
48.
Three numbers are just repeated here. So you just look for each of the set of these three numbers, 2, 4, and 6. And we can see that there's like 4 groups of that numbers being repeated. All you need to do to get the final value is to find the sum of 2, 4, and 6, which is going to be 12. And then you just add 4 12s. Since all of this is going to be 12 as well, this is also 12 because you have the same set of numbers, right? So you just add 4 12s. 12 plus 12 plus 12 plus another 12. Now, this is so easy to add. You don't have to write it in column. You can just add it directly. So just you remember that when you're adding numbers, you add them according to their place value, right? So always start in the ones place. All of the ones place are the twos. So you have 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, which is going to be 8. And then you have 4 ones. So that's automatically 4. Again, 2, 4, 6, 8 for the ones. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 for the tenth digit. And then you have the 4. So this is the final answer now. If you know how to multiply already, like the basic multiplication, you can also multiply this one, right? There's 12 and then it's being repeated 4 times. That means 12 times 4, which is still the same answer, same product. I mean, this is the product, but they have the same answer. So 48 is the correct answer. So make sure that if you have a very long expression like this, you observe the numbers carefully because maybe it's the same as this one. There's just some numbers that are being repeated multiple times. You group them and then you add everything to get the final value. Very good, Idios, because you said that first earlier. Next, what about number 12? Refer to the following columns. What is the digit that should be filled in the blank? 9 plus 1 blank.
6 equals 16. 9 plus 16 equals 25. I said that. 6.
Okay. All right.
If 9 plus 6 is equals to 15, and 16 plus 9 is 25.
That's correct. Now, it says here column. So let's focus on the columns, okay? So your column is this and then this one. What can you observe in the column of tens? What can you observe there? So from 1, it became 2 in the answer part, right? So this is 1 and then it became 2. So
it's carry 1.
So what does it mean? How did it became 2?
There is a carryover.
Very good. Exactly. So that's correct. There must be a carry on or a carryover of 1 here in the tens place for this to become true. So that's already a problem solved, right? Which means that this one came from this answer. You can just put that together. 1 for the tens and then the 5 is the unit digit or the ones digit. So it means the answer or the sum of the numbers here in the ones place would or should be 15. You are already given one of the addends. to get that 15, which is 9. So what do you need to add to 9 to get 15? It's like this. Okay. So what do you need to add to 9 to get 15? That's just by subtracting this 2, you will get 6. Or 9 plus 6 is equal to 15. So if you put here the 6, that would make sense. 9 plus 6 is 15. You bring down the 5, you carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. So this is now correct, right? So that's how we got the 6. Again, you just observe each column or each place value to get or find out the correct answer to be filled in blanks, just like this one. Next, what about number 13? Okay, we're done with the arithmetic part. Now we're in the number theory. Yes.
Can I pay?
Yeah, go ahead. If you want to pee, just go and pee. All right, and then just make sure that you come back quickly. Next, what about this one? Given that a box of candies costs $5, how much do 4 boxes of candies cost?
20.
Why? Why 20?
20. 20. Times 5 equals 20.
Hmm.
5 times 4 equals 20. 5
Times 4.
5
You guys
times
are so good already. You know how to
10 equals
multiply?
20. 5 times 4.
Yes, that's the quickest way. So if you don't know how to multiply, it's okay. Don't be discouraged, okay? You can still do the
20.
addition. Yes, you can still do the addition. So let's just...
I know how to multiply.
Wow, that's
Bây giờ rồi.
okay.
Only 1, 2, and 5, and
Oh,
10.
tables of 5.
Em lại mắc thì
10.
em gọi lại.
Those are easy ones. So yes, very good. Now let's try to visualize this problem right here. It says box of yes.
I want to ask.
Yes, what's the question?
Can I write the dollar sign?
Hmm?
I can also multiply with 20s. Oh.
I'm sorry, I can't hear your question because someone else is also talking. So can you say it again?
I can also multiply with 20.
All right. Now, again, let me speak now. Please keep quiet, everyone. Again, keep quiet. Now, it says here, a box of candies cost 5. So let's just say this box is your one box of candy, okay? And let's put it as 5 because it costs $5. Is it in dollars or just 5? Okay? So if you have 4 of that, you visualize it like this. This is also $5. It costs. This is one box of candy and then another. And then you have one more of that. So it's actually easier this way. And then you're just going to add it together since
Where's
five
it go?
boxes again. Okay, just
Where's
please
it
listen
go?
first. Why is everyone talking? Did I say that you can talk? Again, keep quiet. You should know how to listen to instructions, okay? All right. That's a good manner. Next, after that, you're going to add everything together, which is so maybe easy because you already answered this problem. But just imagine this is the first time that you answered it. This is how you do it step by step. You add everything, which is very, again, easy because it's 5. So 5 plus 5, 10 plus another pair of 10, so 20. Yes, so another way is to do the multiplication, which you guys also said, which is good because you know how to multiply already. So you just multiply the amount for each box times the number of boxes, which is 4. So 5 times 4 is also 20. Okay. Now let's try to have a similar problem to this. Let's say A box of candies costs
Is
$7.
tiny.
$7. And then you have 6 boxes.
6 okay.
How much do 6 boxes cost? If you have
$32. Yeah. 42. $32.
30, 32,
42.
42 is the correct
32.
answer. 32.
32.
Mm, 42, right? 7 times 6 is 42. Or again, if you don't know how to multiply, you just add 7 6 times. 7 plus 7 plus 7 until you write 6 sevens. Okay, I'm not gonna write everything. So let's say you wrote here 6 sevens already, and then of course you add all of that. So that would be equal to 42. Make sure that you count them correctly when you're adding big numbers so that your answers are all correct. Okay. The multiplication way is a lot convenient and easier. So if you have time, you try to practice your multiplication. You memorize the multiplication tables. It's easy, right? Table 5, table 10, table 2. You can practice it as early as now. Okay, next. What about number 14?
Sách thì có
Jack has
21 cái
21
bí
pieces of
Tommy thì có 5
biscuit and Tommy has 5 pieces of biscuit. Again, you keep quiet.
cho
Coach is reading the
50
problem. Okay, I'm going to say what's your
mà
answer.
sách
That's the time that
cho
I say
Phi đúng không? Để hai bạn bằng nhau dễ chưa? Bao nhiêu?
loud. Okay, I wonder if you guys can still hear me since a lot of people are talking. Anyway, again, I'm just going to mute everyone for our convenience. So for number 14, this is the problem. Jack has 21 pieces of biscuits and Tommy has 5 pieces of biscuits. So how many pieces of biscuits should Jack give Tommy so that they will have the same number of biscuits? So we have a certain method or a strategy to answer this problem, right? There's 2 different number of the same kind or the same item, which is the biscuit. So you have the 21 and then you have the 5. Now you're going to be asked how many should the other give to the other person, which has less number of the biscuit for them to have equal. So we have a solution or a strategy for this. All you need to do is subtract these 2 given numbers, 21 minus 5. Okay, which is going to be, how much is 21 minus 5? It's going to be 16. And then you're going to separate this 16 into 2 equal numbers. What would it be? How are you going to separate 16 into 2 equal numbers? That's going to be 8 because 8 plus 8 is equal to 16. Therefore, Jack would give 8 to Tommy for them to have the same number of biscuits. Now let's try to prove if that is correct. So you have here 21 for Jack, and then if he's going to give 8 to Tommy, he will have now how much? 11 minus 8, that's going to be 3, 13. Okay, and then Tommy has 5 from the start, and he received 8 from Jack. So if you add that 8 from his original number of biscuits, which is 5, you will also have 13. Now remember what was the condition in the problem? They will have the same number of biscuits after, which is exactly this one, right? So that's how you check if the value that you got here in our solution is correct. Again, you subtract their original number of biscuits, you get the difference, and then you separate that difference into two equal number. The value of that number would be the final answer to this problem. Okay, or another term is you divide. You divide the 16 into 2. 16 divided by 2 would be 8. That's how we got 8 as the answer. And this part is how you check if that is correct. All right, I hope you remember this. Okay, next, let's have number 15. For number 15, you fill in the blanks with a plus and minus to make the equation below correct. Write down the complete equation. So in your test papers, you have to write down the complete equation. Make sure you do that as well. We also have a solution for this problem. Hold on. It's a step-by-step solution for this. So what's the first thing that you have to do? Step number 1 is you're going to assume that all of this is addition. So we're going to write 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 6, which is going to be, let's add this one first. Let's find their sum. 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 6. So 3 and 7, that's already 10. And then you have 5 and 6, which is 11. So this is 21. That's the step number 1. Step number 2 is you're going to subtract this sum that you got to the actual answer of the equation, which is 9. So we're going to subtract them. 21 minus the 9. Okay, that's step number 2, which is going to be, how much is 21 minus 9? That is going to be 12. So the answer here is 12. Okay, step number 3 is you are going to divide this difference that you got into 2, or separate 12 into 2 equal number, which is 6. Okay, because 6 plus 6 would be 12. So the number that we're looking for is 6. Now, what does this 6 means? The 6 means that that number, if you find that here among the numbers in the equation, in the left side part, that number would have the minus sign. Okay? And very quick to spot, there is really a 6 in the numbers here. Therefore, you're going to put the minus sign here, and automatic, the rest would have the other sign given, which is plus. This is now your final equation. Make sure you write this all together. 3 plus 5 plus 7 minus 6 plus equals 9. Yes, Keziah, that's correct. So this is now your correct answer. Make sure you remember this. Again, step number 1, you add everything. You find the sum of the numbers. You will get the sum. Step number 2, you're going to subtract that sum to the actual answer given here in the equation. In this case, you have 9. So that's what we did. And you got the 12. And then third and final step is you're going to separate that difference into 2 equal number, or you divide it into 2. In other words, okay? So 12 divided by 2, that's how we got 6. And then that number again means that that particular number will have the minus sign. That's why we did this step-by-step method. We're looking for the number that will bear or have the minus sign in them. And we got 6. So, and there's a 6 here as well. So, therefore, you put the minus, and then the rest would be plus. So there's also another case to this specific problem, if you remember, right? It's not always the case where you can literally see the final result. Let's say you got 8 in the step number 3, right? Let's say 8. Okay. After you divide the difference into 2, you got 8. Now we know that 8 should have the minus sign. And there's no 8 among the numbers here in the left side. What's the second option? You're going to look for the number or two, at least two numbers that will give a sum of 8. So let's say in this case, you can pair 5 and 3. They will have a sum of 8 if you combine them, right? And that means you'll have to put the minus sign in both of these numbers. Let's say this is not the first number written here, okay? So let's say like this, you're going to put the minus sign on both of these numbers because again, there's no number that is exactly the same as 8 in here. That could also be possible. So if you can't see the number that you got in step number 3, find two numbers among the numbers here that could have a sum of that number. And that is where you're going to put the minus sign. And automatic, the rest would have a positive sign rather. So please take note of that as well. Now, we are done with the first half of the problem. So to refresh our minds and relax for a little bit, let's have a quick break. And we will be back after 10 minutes. So it's going to be 11:17. Oh no, let's just resume at 11:20 to be exact. 11:20 Philippine time. So go ahead. You may have your break, everyone. Let's see each other again after 12 minutes. Okay, you have 3 minutes left for your break. You can go to the bathroom if you want before we continue our session. So I'll be back after 3 minutes. Since we're on a break, just a little chit chat. You can unmute yourselves, everyone, if you want to talk. Just for 2 minutes, okay?
Miss,
Yes?
can we, I think, have a question to Tim. Can
Hmm?
we watch the dollar sign?
Opa, kantang tayo.
Oh, that's the number.
What do you mean?
And number
Well,
13.
okay, just allowing you to unmute yourselves right now so that later on you won't turn
Number
on your
or
mics,
just
okay?
the sign.
Yes.
Only number.
What are you asking for? Or what are you talking about, Lucas?
Can we watch the dollar sign? Oh, that's the number.
Yeah, we're
That's
going to continue now. So I'm going to mute everyone and we're going to continue our session, okay? Now let's proceed to problem number 16. Okay, hold on. All right, there you go. So we're done with number 15. Now let's proceed to the next number, which is number 16. Emily has an odd number of oranges. Emily eats 9 and exchanges 6 with Natasha for 4 cans of Coke. Now, determine whether the total number of Emily's oranges is an odd or an even number now. So we're asked if Emily's number of oranges will be odd or even. So that is where we're going to focus. You try to recall that you can predict what kind of number would be the result in both addition and subtraction depending on what type of number they are, right? We can have, if you add both even, again, this is the same case with addition and subtraction. Even plus even or even minus even, that will give you a sum or an answer which is going to be even. Okay? For both odd, the same case. If you add both odd numbers or subtract it, the answer would also be odd. While if you add two different kinds of numbers, which means odd and even or even and odd, the result or the answer would also be odd. So you have to take note of that because you can use that in this problem. Now, Emily has an odd number of orange that we don't know. So we have to use this guessing solution because we don't know her number of oranges in total. Emily eats 9. So she eats 9, which means you are subtracting your number of oranges by eating them. All we need to do is transform this 9 into its kind in terms of odd and even. So 9 is an odd number. We're going to minus it with an odd number because 9 is odd again. and exchanges 6 with Natasha for 4 cans of Coke. What kind of number is 6 in terms of odd and even? So 6 is also even. 6 is an even number. So this is going to be E. Again, add, minus again because she goes, she exchanges again with another person. So she deducted something from her total number of oranges. So what would be the result of this expression? Add minus even. Remember this? If you are subtracting or adding, again, the rule is the same for subtraction and addition. Sorry, subtraction and addition, okay? So if you're subtracting or adding numbers that are the same kind, which means they're both odd or they're both even, the answer would always be even. So in this part, this is even. Add minus odd, that's going to be even. And then minus the even. So what is even minus even? That's the final answer now. That would be even. Okay? That's how you got even. Because again, no, it doesn't matter if you're adding or subtracting, as long as they're both the same kind, the answer would be even. So add minus odd is even. Even minus even is also even. That's how we got the answer. It's very important that you remember this because in this part, you will have to use this technique really. Since we don't know her exact number of oranges, so we can't use the exact values given here. We need to identify what kind of numbers they are, okay? Take note of that. Next one, what about this? Find the largest one-digit even number. Speaking of even numbers, we're going to look for the largest even number. So in the number system, or in the counting system, your odd and even are alternate, arranged in alternate sequence, right? Odd, even, odd, even, odd, even, and so on. So starting from number 1 until 9, since we're talking about one-digit numbers, your arrangement of the numbers here are alternate again. Odd, odd, even, odd, even, and then odd, even. So the even numbers are 2, 4, 6, and 8. So these 4. 2, 4, 6, and 8. Now you are looking for the largest. When you say largest, it should be the number that has the biggest value, right? And in our counting system, the farther you go, the bigger the larger the value of that number. So 2, 4, 6, 8. This is the farthest number here among these 4 numbers. So this one is the largest one-digit even number. Okay? That's how you got it. One-digit even number, and that's the largest. When you say the largest one-digit odd, that would be this one. Since 9 is an odd number, and that's the largest number among all the other odd numbers as well. One-digit odd number. Okay, next one. What about number 18? What about this? How many numbers or number are there between 10 and 29, including the first and the last number? 20. Including the first and the last number. How many numbers are there between 10 and 29, including the first and the last number? How do you solve this? Now let's see first the answer. Okay, why is it 20? Now to solve this problem, remember this specific problem, okay, where you need to figure out how many numbers are there in a certain range. So you're only given the first and then the last number, and you have to find out how many numbers are in between those two numbers. How do you do that? Especially if the question is asking you to include the first and the last. So this one actually makes it easier because all you need to do is subtract the bigger number given here minus the smaller number. So 29 minus 10. How much is that? 19. And don't forget to add 1. So the plus 1 is for the counting because subtraction or subtracting is different from counting the numbers. So the 1 is like the insurance because again, you're counting how many numbers are here, not subtracting them. So 19 plus 1, that would be 20. Okay? Now, just take note that this is for if ever you're asked for the first and the last number. So if this is not included, then you just subtract the 2. You got this and then you minus 2. 20 minus 2, you'll have 18 numbers. So there are 18 numbers between 10 and 29. But if you include 10 and 29, then that makes it 20. Okay, again, to solve or to find the numbers between two given values that are far from each other, you just need to subtract the bigger value to the smaller value. You'll get the difference and then don't forget to plus 1. So 29 minus 10 plus 1. Again, given that you need to count the first and the last number. Next, what about number 19? Oh, we're in the geometry category now. What about this? How many square or squares is or are there in the figure? So we're counting the squares. When you say square, it should be a figure that has 4 equal sides, right? So it doesn't matter the size. You have to look for all the possible squares here. So let's do that. Let's count first the small ones, just like this one. This is a square. Now let's count everything that looks like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you have 10 small squares. Now again, since you're asking for the square, we have to make sure that we count every square that we can see. So just put in mind that a square should have 4 equal sides. So it could also be a bigger one, right? Just like this part. Okay, this is also a square. So as long as you can connect the 4 sides perfectly and they're all equal in size, as you can see there. So it is considered as a square. So we have one more. I'm just going to add that here in the 10 and you will have 11 as the answer. So yes, there would be 11 squares in total in this problem. Okay, so make sure that you observe the figure carefully. Maybe you will forget to spot some other squares, especially if the figure is quite confusing or like there's a lot of, parts like this where there are little cuts to make you confuse. So make sure that you observe it properly. Next, what about number 20? How many sides is or are there in the polygon below? So to those who can comment, to those who can chat or use the chat button, just feel free to type in your answers, okay? I'm also reading them. How many sides are there in the polygon below? 7, according to Keziah. So we when you see something like this, actually an easier way to count the number of sides is just look for the pointy ends of the figure, okay? Or the end points like this. You just count how many do you have here. Sure, like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Therefore, there would be 7 sides. Why is that? It's because this part can make an internal angle. Okay, just a little bit of trivia and to those who don't know. Internal angles are just the same with the sides or the number of sides. So just look for pointy parts like this and then count them. That's also going to be equal to the number of sides, right? But to be specific, your side is this from one endpoint to another. These parts. All right, next one. What about number 21? According to the pattern, what should be the figure drawn in the blank? Okay, your answer here, if you're gonna take the exam online, should be the word, right? The name of the figure, because you can't draw in your exam sheet or exam paper. Now, is this the okay? What is your answer for number 21? I think that's a what are the figures there? Hold on. Matthew, can you tell me what are the figures in your like square? What are square? I think this one is. Is this the same as this? Square, triangle, a rectangle, triangle, square, and circle. Is it like that? Okay, so please don't annotate in the screen. Now, what can you notice in the distribution here? It's just actually this part, the first 4. It's always going to be like this in sequence. Okay? So after the circle, you always have this figure, just actually the square. Yes, it's going to be the square, I guess. So just don't mind the ones in here. The correct answer should be that or the square. So your answer must be the word name. Okay? Since you won't be able to draw anyway. Next. Yes, it's just like that. First 4 are being repeated. So the next figure after the circle is always going to be this or your square. You just have to follow that. Next, what about number 22? At least how many cube or cubes is or are there in the figure below? So this is our figure. And how many cubes do we have here? 7. Okay, it's okay, David. You can erase your writings now. So your cubes are like the 3D version of the square, right? So this is your cube. We're going to count everything that we can see here. I think, yeah, we can see some parts of everything. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So yes, we have 7 cubes in the figure. Very good. Next, what about number 23? So for number 23, how many rectangle or rectangles is or are there in the figure? All right, so this is your figure and you're looking for the rectangle. So what's the difference between the rectangle and the square? So you have to take note that a square is a rectangle, but a rectangle is not a square. Okay? So again, why is that? Because when you say rectangle, it should have 4 sides. which a square is also the same. So a square can be a rectangle, but your rectangle cannot be a square because the square, it says it should have the same exact sides. Like the size of your side should be equal, and that's not gonna be the same case for the rectangle, right? Okay, so now let's count. First thing, David, can you stop annotating in the screen? Okay. Now let's count first the squares, since again we said that squares are also rectangles because they have four sides. A rectangle has four sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You have four rectangles now. Now also we can form a rectangle like this. Combination of 1 and 2. That's also a rectangle. And also 3 and 4. Okay, here. So that's 1, 2. Two rectangles now. On another hand, we can also combine 3 and 1 or 1 and 3 to form another rectangle. So that's another 1. And also this, 2 and 4. So another 2. And what else? We have the entire figure, this one. So it's also a rectangle. So we have 1. So counting or adding everything, you have how many rectangle in total? You have 9, right? 4 plus 2 in the column part, and then in the row part there's another 2 as well, so that's 8, and then plus the entire figure 1. So that's how you got 9. So just remember that when you say rectangle, square is included to that. Square can also be a rectangle, but rectangle cannot always be a square. Next, what about number 24? Okay, what about this problem? How many line segments are there in the figure? 5? Okay, line segment. Yes, yeah, Boon. 5 also. Very good. So when you say line segment, that is from one point to another, right? It looks like this. So that's your line segment. How many do you have here? Now, if your segment or if your line, straight line, has 2 points in it, like this one, that would be equal to how many line segments? That's just one line segment, right? And then just like this one as well. So this is also equal to 1. Now, what about this line? This line has 3 points. So if your line has 3 points in it, just like this, that would be equal to 3 line segments, okay? While if your straight line only has 2 points, that's equal to 1. You have to take note of that. So automatic, this line here, which has 3 points in it, is equal to 3. So all in all, you have 1 plus 1 plus 3. So the total number of line segments is indeed 5. So this one is, I'm not saying that your line would look like this all the time, okay? It could be diagonal or vertical, as long as it's straight and as long as it has 2 points or 3 points in them, just like this one. All right, next, what about number 25? Last category for combinatorics. Okay, first problem in combinatorics, which of the following numbers is the largest? How do we get the largest number given a series of numbers? First thing is we're we are going to arrange our numbers. Since we're looking for the largest, we're going to arrange them from largest to smallest. Okay, so what's the largest number here? You have 42. How do you determine the largest number anyway? Since all your numbers here except 9, which we know 9 is already the smallest because it's a one-digit number. Another thing to consider or factor if the number is bigger if they have multiple digits in them, right? Just like these numbers, they have 2 digits in them, so they're bigger. Now we're just going to rank them depending on what's the value or the exact value of their digits. So the bigger the first digit, the bigger the number or the larger the number as well. That's why 42 is the largest because it starts with 4, then followed by the 3, 9, then you have the 2, 9, and then you have the 1 or 11, and finally the 9. This is their proper order. This is their correct order if you're looking for largest to smallest. So the top number is 42. Therefore, your largest number is 42. It's easier if you arrange them like this because you can also look for the smallest number easily. Smallest is the number in the last, which is the 9, right? Okay, next one. What about number? So the answer to this is 42. Again, if all of your numbers has the same digits, number of digits. So this one has 2 digits in them except the 9. All you need to do is compare their first digits. That is your second option in comparing your numbers. So the bigger their first digit in the left, okay, the bigger their value. Next one. What about number 26? Paula has 5 $2 coins. At most, how many $5 coins can she exchange these coins, these money for? So she has 5 $2 coins and she wants to exchange it with $5 coins. How much or how many can she have? Let's see. Okay, 2. 2? Mm-hmm. Okay. So if you have 5 $2 coins, that means 1, 2, 3. So you have 5 coins that with $2 each value. 3, 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have 5 $2 coins, which is like this. And the total of that is, when you add all of this, it's going to be equal to 10. Now, the next step is you need to make this 10 into $5 coins. So how many fives can you make if you have 10? All you need to do is just add 5 until you reach 10. So we can only add 5 2 times to get a 10, which means that is why she can exchange $5 coins 2 or 2 times. So the answer is 2. That's how you got 2. Okay. Okay, let's see. What if she says here that Paula has 7 $3 coins. How many $4 coins can she exchange it for? Can someone answer in the chat if you can chat? 5. Okay. Kizaya is so fast. So you're gonna again, first thing, very good, Jared. Ideos. Okay. Now, the same case, we're going to find the total amount of money that she has first, which is going to be 21. No, you add 7 3s. That's going to be 21, or 7 times 3. That's your total money. Again, you exchange it with 4. So if your total is 21, to get how many 4s can you make possibly for that, you just add 4. As many 4 as you can until you reach probably 21 or not. Okay, so let's do that. 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. This is already 16. Plus another 4. That's already 20. And if you add another 4 here, that's going to be 24. So it's more than her money. So we have to erase that and replace it with the exact amount, which is going to be 1. This is now the distribution. Since we're only asked for the $4 coins, so you're just going to count how many 4s were you able to add to get 21 as the total. Okay, we're only able to have 5 4s. That's why your answers are correct. That's why 5 is the right answer. Next, let's proceed to number 27. What about this problem? Among the values of the following expressions, how many odd numbers is or are there? So first step is we're going to find the values of the expression. We're going to solve the expressions here. 6 plus 3, that's going to be 9. Now 8 plus 1, that's going to be 9 as well. 4 plus 7, that's going to be 11. And then 6 plus 5 is also 11. So everything is actually odd numbers, right? 9, 9, 11, and 11 are all odd numbers. So you just, again, remember that to determine if your number is an odd or even, remember all your odd numbers in the 1 digits. Okay, the 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 2, 4, 6, and 8. Because if your numbers are in 2 digits or more, let's say for example 11, how do you know that 11 is an odd number? How can you justify? How can you prove that 11 is an odd number without dividing it into 2 and not being able to divide it equally? So you just look at the ones digit. Okay, since the ones digit of this number is 1 and 1 is an odd number, therefore 11 is also an odd number. That's the determining factor. No matter how many digits are there in a number, let's say 313. So you just look at the digit in the ones place. If that digit is odd, then this entire number is also odd. That's how easy you can determine what kind of number a certain number is. So therefore, 9 is odd, 9 is odd, 11 is odd, 11 is odd. So you have 4 odd numbers there. Okay, next. So don't be confused like, coach, they're all just the same numbers. Like, what if I answer 2? Because there's just 2 values. So you can't do that because it says values of the following expression. So those are each value for these expressions. So you have to count them as 1, regardless if they have the same value. Okay? Just take note of that. Next, what about number 28? If we divide 12 triangles into 3 equal groups, how many triangles should there be in each group? Okay, what about this one? Let's see your answers. 4. Let's see if that is correct. Yes, very good. So in a division sentence, since we're talking about divide, right? In a division process, you have the total and you have other two things. You have the number of group and then the number of or the size of the group. So in this case, you're given the total and then you have the number of groups, which is 3. So that's total divided by the number of groups. So that's going to be 3. So what we're looking for here is the size of each group or size of the group. So you can easily divide 12 into 3 or just this is your total and then you separate it into 3 groups only. You have to do a separation where you can only make 3 groups and each group must have the same number or equal number of triangles. So we're able to make 3 groups and upon counting, each group has 4 triangles. So that's how you got your 4. Okay, so if ever this was into 4 equal groups, now that would be another story, right? So again, you have to make, you encircle, you group the triangles where you can make 4 groups and each group will have the same number of triangles. So it's just like this. So you will have now 4 groups and in each group you'll have 3. So it's just like back and forth thing for this one. So you just have to count it properly. Make sure that you separate or group each objects equally in equal number. Next, what about number 29? Second to the last number. Which of the following numbers is the smallest? So earlier we were asked for the largest number. This time we are looking for the smallest number. If you observe the numbers here, everyone, all of them are 2-digit numbers, right? So all we need to do is to what again? If you remembered what I said earlier, if all of them has the same number of digits, you look in their very first digit in the left, sorry, and compare their value. So the bigger or the smaller it is, of course, the smaller the value of the number. So what's the smallest tens digit number here? You have the 1. So that's the 10. Next, you have 1 as well, and then you have the 4. So 4 is a little bigger than 0. So that's why that's the second number. Next, you have 23, 2. So 3. That's the only number that has 2 in its tenth digit. And then you're followed by the 3, the 33. And then finally, you have the 4 or the 41. So the smallest is the first number that we wrote here. 10 and 14 is quite close. They're both small numbers among all of these numbers here. But the difference is what? The difference is their one's digit. Okay? So that's another comparison. Again, first option is if all of your numbers that you're comparing has the same number of digits in them, just like this. The next factor of comparison is the actual value of their digits. Now, what happens when they both have the same number, just like 10 and 14? So your next option is to compare the next digit in their number. So what's the next after 1? You have 0. What's the next after 1 here? You have 4. So we're going to compare 0 versus 4. So which one is smaller since we're looking for the smallest number? So of course it's going to be 0, right? versus 4. So that's why 10 is the smallest number. Next, what about number 30? Okay, last number. What is the largest three-digit number composed of three numbers 1, 3, and 8? Wow. Okay, 831. So you just need to make largest three-digit number. How do you do that? How do you make uh, the largest three-digit number? If you're given an option or to use specific digits, all you need to do is to select the top three largest numbers in the option, right? So what are the top three largest numbers here? You have 1, 3, and 8. So it's actually just 3. So the next step to make the largest number is to arrange them according to their value as well. Since we look for the largest, we're going to put first the larger numbers. Of course, the largest is 8, so we're going to put 8 first. Second is the 3, so we're going to put 3 in the second. And finally, you have the 1. So that's how you made 830. Oh, composed of three numbers, 1, 3, and 8. So usually they put here, you can only use the digit once. Okay? So you can only use if you can only use the digit once, meaning you cannot use a repeated number, then you'll have that. 8, 8, 3, 1. And that's usually the question anyway. Yes, David. Because if you're gonna repeat digit, then you can just have 888, 888, right? But it should be composed of three numbers, 1, 3, and 8. So meaning 1, 3, and 8 should be utilized, all of them. That's why we made 8, 3, 1. What about the smallest? What would be your number? Smallest three-digit number. 138. Very good. Emmanuel and Matthew? Yes. So just the opposite. You're going to put first the smallest numbers. So smallest is 1, the second smallest is 3, and then the third smallest, which is the largest, is the 8. So your three-digit smallest number that you can compose out from these three numbers would be this one. All right. I think we're done with this mock review. Do you have any questions? Hold on. Let me unmute you. Okay. Do you have any questions so far? Yes.
Hello, teachers. Hello, teachers.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay, is one last answer, teachers. From the zoo or from the bilingual teachers?
It's done. At the chat.
Yes, Matthew. I think this is also going to be sent to your email. So just wait for it. Okay. Don't leave yet. Don't leave yet, everyone. Hold on.
I want to play.
Okay. What's the question again?
Yeah, hello, teachers.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. No. I think is one last line exam teachers from the zoo or from the bilingual teachers. What application do I need to use?
Oh, okay. I think the instructions would be emailed to you. I'm not sure about that, but for sure they're gonna email you all the instructions regarding the competition. So just wait for the instructions. Now.
Yes, teachers. Thank you, teachers.
No problem. Okay, don't leave yet, everyone. You're all welcome, but can we take a picture? Hold on. Sorry. Okay, so I'm going to take a group picture now. So if you can open your cameras, please. Open it. Okay, in a count of 3,
Bye-bye, teacher.
Smile in the camera first. 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more. 1, 2, 3. All right, one last. 1, 2, 3. There you go.
Yes.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye, teacher.
Goodbye,
Bye. Thank you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Good luck on your competition. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Wait, I want to ask.
Yes.
I want to ask.
Who's asking?
Me.
Who's me? Oh, Calvin? Oh, who's talking? Ah, Lucas. Yes, Lucas.
Phone number 13 at the answer.
13.
Should I write the dollar sign or only the number?
Oh, hold on. Let me go back to number 13. Wait.
Ok, hay là vậy hả? Ăn nào chiều trở lên. Hay là đây ăn cơm với ngủ.
Hold on. Okay.
Ăn sớm thì để ăn đấy ngủ nào. Mẹ ăn sáng chưa ăn gì đây này. Dậy cái đầu thì đã phải phóng lên đây, chưa kịp sấy khô đâu, phải phóng lên đây rồi.
Làm gì?
Để kịp giờ chứ gì nữa.
Là ủi.
Đi giờ thôi.
Mà để học nốt, thằng nốt. Đi trả anh nó tập em rồi.
This one? What about this?
Yes. Tập em.
Này.
You write that? What is
Do
your
you have
question,
to write
Lucas?
the dollar sign or only the number?
Okay. Yeah, very good question. You can just write the number. It's okay. Yeah.
Oh,
You don't have to write the dollar sign, but you can. So it's accepted. You can write just the number, or you can write it with the dollar sign, and they're all both okay. That's okay. That's accepted.
They are all both
Yes, it's okay. So, because sometimes others put a dollar sign, and that's correct because the currency that they use here is dollars, but usually
favorite is with dollar sign.
yes, usually a lot of students or a lot of participants just write the number, and that's just the sense of it, the problem anyway. So it's okay. Both are okay. Don't worry about that. Okay, any more questions from other? Who's asking question? You, Lucas, again?
Bye-bye.
Ah, bye-bye. Okay. New.
Not tomorrow, learn.
Bye-bye. I won't see you tomorrow anyway. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Lucas.
Bye-bye.